Welcome, sadhakas. You are fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel with Vedic systems. For it, today, we are going to initiate ourselves with the specific focus as to how we have to transit and have a takeoff from the linear order, three-space mathematics, to spatial order, four-space mathematics. Ganita Upsutra 5, Vestanam, and Ganita Sutra 7, sankalana vyavakalana bhyam, are two hymns which are preserving the initial features of a takeoff from the linear order mathematics to a spatial order mathematics. The Vedic mathematics is essentially a spatial order mathematics. It is a mathematics of a creator, the space, four space of a spatial order. Chatushpeet makes enlightenment path for transition from linear order to spatial order. Ganita Upsutra 5 and Ganita Sutra 7 are the processing steps mathematics of this transition and takeoff. Simple rendering for Vestanam is osculation, while simple rendering for sankalana and vyavakalana is addition and minus. With these, Ganita Upsutra 5 and Ganita Sutra 7, one shall initiate for the spatial order mathematics. Let us begin with the Chatushpeet, Shrekar path. It is enlightenment path. Chatushpeet is a formulation. The formulation Chatushpeet is of transcendental code value 30. The value 30 is parallel with the summation value of four folds of hypercube 8. And hypercube 8 as a representative regular body of 4 space, regular body of 8 space, takes us to Asht Prakriti, 8-fold nature. So we are, while on a Chatushpeet format, we are for takeoff to the 8-fold nature, to 8 space. It is an affine space. It amounts to a flow through the Bindu Sarovar of soul syllable Om, and its reach up till the swastik pada is of 41 steps. Formulation Vestanam is of transcendental code value 41. Vestanam, as we have seen, simply means osculation. So here the initial flow mathematics is of oscullators. Before that, let us see that this formulation Vestanam as it is a composition of 8 letters. The value 8 is the transcendental code value of formulation Ras. It is also of formulation Ek, and at the same time, it is also the formulation of Akash. So see, value 8 is Ras, it is Ek, it is Akash. This way, we can have an idea as to how this mathematics of the creator's space of eightfold nature's phenomenon is under process. Therefore, we have to be face to face with all these features. For it, first of all, let us revisit the formulation Vestanam. This formulation is a composition of 3 syllables of letters 2, 3, and 3, parallel to the transcendental code values of triple syllables of formulation Akash. The transcendental code values of triple syllables of formulation Akash are 2, 3, and 3. And this is parallel with the letters of triple syllables of the formulation Vestanam. One shall sit comfortably and to permit the mind to be parallel with this phenomenon of letters on the one hand and the transcendental code values on the other hand, going parallel, standing coordinated, and it is this interlocking, it is this coordination of the number of letters on the one hand and of transcendental code values on the other hand, which is going to be the mathematical comprehension which is to be imbibed by us. Further, the formulation Vestanam is of transcendental code value 41, and the number of letters of Vestanam are 8, syllables are 3, formulation is 1. So the first 4 folds as single word, triple syllables composition, 8 letters composition, and 41 transcendental code value composition makes a summation value 53. And the value 53 is the synthesis value of a pair of transcendence ranges of solid order 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as the first solid range, its composition with itself, with the synthesis lock value 3 makes value 53. So it is a solid order synthesis. See how Vestanam formulation is going to be the osculation, going to be the synthesis, going to be a repetitive reappearance and a reposition of one transcendence range, solid transcendence range upon itself. It is this synthesis phenomenon which deserves to be imbibed well. Once we will be parallel with these 4 transcendental code value features of the formulation Vestanam as a single word, as a word of triple syllables, as a word of 8 letters, as a word of 41 transcendental code value, making summation value 53, parallel with the synthesis of a solid order transcendence range, we will be having an idea as to how this formulation is taking us within the organization setups. Now see, if and when we are at 6 space as the format of the very first letter of the very first sutra, A, and it is going to be of 13 versions. It is going to be of 13 geometries, range of 6 space. And the first letter of the second word of the first sutra, Pa, of TC value 5, takes to 5 space of 11 versions and 11 geometries range of a 5 space. So see the 6 space hypercube 6, 13 versions of hypercube 6, 13 geometries of 6 space on the one hand as a first letter of the first sutra, and letter Pa, TC value 5, 5 space, hypercube 5, 11 versions of hypercube 5, 11 geometries of 5 space. Now see how both these features get synthesized and get interlocked. Now see the dimensional synthesis of the transcendence ranges are for 6 space of signatures -6 to +6. So these are 13 versions as of the values as is on the computer screen: 46, 64, -35, 53, -24, 42, -13, 31, -2, 20, and 9. It is a setup of 11 phases and stages for 13 versions. It is this interlocking of 13 versions of hypercube 6 with 11 versions of hypercube 5, which makes the mathematics of Vestanam interlocking, and it at the same time also will be making the mathematics of sankalana and vyavakalana. Therefore, sadhakas fulfilled with intensity effort to be parallel with Vedic systems shall have a visit afresh upon the very first sutra as a composition of pair formulation Ekadikain and Purvain, and the interlocking of 6 space and 5 space as hypercube 6 and hypercube 5. Once we will be parallel with it, we will be having glimpse of how the 4th Upsutra, Kevale Saptakam Gunayat, with a focus upon the formulation Kevale, availing triple consonants, Ka, Va, and La, which as per the Vedic code yield sequential values 1 for letter Ka, value 4 for letter Va, value 3 for letter La, and this makes as such 1, 4, 3. Now this 1, 4, 3 value, when is to be applied for osculation in respect of 1/7, then blissfully it will be that it is here where is the structural key, as that this is locked up till 7th fold, Kevale Saptakam Gunayat. It is for this very reason that the linear order of 3 space is of 7 geometries range. It is the upper reach for the linear order. This is the reason why the hypercircles increase only up till 7, and from hypercircle 8 onwards, there is a decrease. Let us have a pause. Let us revisit this upper reach of a linear order. This upper reach of a linear order of 3 space of 7 versions and 7 geometries range is in fact the lock of the linear order. If we want to transcend, then we have to transcend from the linear order itself. That means we have to transcend from Kevale Saptkam Gunayat, Ganita Upsutra 4, and we have to enter the domain of Ganita Upsutra 5 Vestanam to transit from the upper limit of 7 geometries range of 3 space. We have to transcend from the linear order itself. The modern mathematics is confronted with this situation of hypercircles 1 to 7 increasing and hypercircles 8 onwards decreasing, but not becoming possible for the modern mind to reach it as to why this is happening. And this way, this hypercircles problem is the problem of the modern mathematics, modern mind, modern hypothesis, and modern way to approach the reality of our existence phenomenon. The answer for it is that we have to transcend from a linear order to a spatial order, and for it we have to be parallel with the mathematics of osculations, mathematics of Ganita Upsutra 5. This is the feature which will require that we shall proceed further for the next 6 folds of the transcendental code value of the formulation Vestanam. The formulation Vestanam, as we have seen, for its first folds as word of value 1, syllables 3, letters 8, transcendental code value 41, making total summation value 53 for all the first 4 folds as a synthesis of a pair of solid transcendence ranges. The next 6 folds of the transcendental code value of the formulation Vestanam are tabulated on the computer screen. The first TT fold is of value 394. FF leads to the value 201. Formulation F 86. Formula hyperformate 148. Then the ranges value 285 and synthesis of ranges value 611, making it a total value 1725. Let us have a pause here. See, the value for the first folds is 53. Value for the next 6 folds is 1725. These values, together with the value of Chatushpeet and the format of hypercube 6, 4 space as dimension of 6 space, making value 52. So value 53 of the first 4 folds, value 1725 with the next 6 folds, value 52 of Chatushpeet reach is a total value of 1830. Blissful, very blissful. This is the value of Sanvatsar, 5 years timeline of Jyotish Vedang leads to total tithis, days, 1830. So see The formulation Vestanam is osculating, is having inner folds synthesis phenomenon parallel with the phenomenon of Sanvansar Yuga, 5 years timeline of 366 days of a year for 5 years, making 1830 tithis, dates. Therefore, we sadhakas, students of Vedic mathematics, having intensity to be parallel with the Vedic systems, we have to approach the Vedic mathematics sutras, the Vedic mathematics way, the way these are organized, the way these are sequenced, the way these are permitting a reach within its folds, the way these formulations are unfolding. Once we will be approaching these sutras, the sutras ways, then certainly we will be parallel with the Vedic systems. Vedic mathematics is the base of the Vedic knowledge as well as the Vedic enlightenment. Now, when on first principles the osculations are approached, then 1/1 as value 1, 1/2 as 0.5, 1/3 as 0.3 recurring, 1/4 as 0.25, 1/5 as 0.2, 1/6 as 1/6 reoccurring. One shall have a pause here. Up till the first osculation range, it's 0.16. 10 times of it is 16. There are 16 Ganita Sutras. Therefore, the sadhakas are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with Vedic mathematics shall approach each sutra as well as each Upsutra as a mathematical domain which will unfold the whole range of mathematics and of all the sutras and upsutras. So each sutra and each upsutra is so organized, so composed that its values, when are approached the composition way, then whole range of mathematics of all the sutras as well as of all the upsutras will unfold from within each sutra and each upsutra. This way, the feature of Vestanam Upsutra 5 is highly intensified setup of values whose initiation is required for having a reach for whole range of mathematics of all sutras and sub-sutras within each and every sutra and upsutra. Let us approach this osculation sequentially up till 19, 1/19, and then Ganita Sutra 1 will take over, and this has been fully demonstrated at the outset in the book of Swamiji. Sadhakas are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with Vedic systems shall appreciate the importance of value 19, which in fact is the value of southern hemisphere of our solar universe. That way, at each and every step, we have to be very cautious. We have to be very sensitive. We should be fully appreciative and show the importance of the transition from Ganita Upsutra 4 to Ganita Upsutra 5. Ganita Upsutra 4, Kevale Saptakam Gunayat, gives a focus and importance for 1/7, and further it brings us face to face with as to how the 7th space in the role of origin of a 6th space gives rise to flow of 7 streams, which as a Divya Ganga Pravaha along the artifices of soul syllable Om make us conscious, make us alive, make us sensitive, and help us appreciate the interlocking and superimposition of 13 geometries, a range of 6 space, with 11 geometries, range of 5 space, as the base of the first formulation Ekadikain and of second formulation Purvain of Ganita Sutra 1 itself. And this is why we are having Ganita Sutra 1 as the source of sutra of Vedic mathematics. Now, the point for sensitive appreciation is that the reach along the Panch Mahabhut in its both orientations takes us 2 steps on either side of the triple Bhut, Akash, Vayu, and Agni, and the summation value of the transcendental code values of these 3 formulations, Akash, Vayu, and Agni, as 35 as of organization 5x7 grid of all 35 double-digit numbers of a 6 place value system. Once we will be appreciating as to how the transition is to take place from the single digit numbers values to double digit number values, then we will be feeling, appreciating of a transition need from the linear order setup to a spatial order setup. Step ahead, we have to revisit the inner structure of number 6, which is the first as well as the only perfect number for which the sum as well as the product of its proper divisors is equal, and the reversal orientation is also inherently embedded here. When we will be having an appreciation as to how 2 plus 3 is equal to 5 and 2 into 3 is equal to 6 with a single unit increase, even with the transition from addition to multiplication operation, then we will be appreciating the organization of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which is of feature as that its first chapter as well as the sixth chapter are of same 47 shlokas ranges. Still further, we have to be sensitive, we have to be cautious, we have to be appreciative as to pair of orientations of an interval, pair of faces of a surface, pair of three-dimensional frames of half dimensions of opposite orientations, and 2 plus 2 is equal to 2 multiplied by 2 is equal to minus 2 multiplied by minus 2, which makes creators a space of a spatial order. We have to appreciate how the transition from linear order to a spatial order will be making our interval format of pair of orientations, our surface format of pair of faces, our three-dimensional frame as well of a pair of three-dimensional frames of half dimensions of opposite orientations. This is to be absorbed, this is to be imbibed. And once we will be having this appreciation, then a step ahead, we will be face to face with three space in the role of origin of a two space, and a square as a synthetic setup of quadruple quarter squares, and the three space origins of quadruple quarter squares yielding value 3 is to 4 is equal to 81, while 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is equal to 12. And further, only 3 squares, quarter squares, are sufficient to fix the fourth quarter in its unmanifest state. So 3 origins, solid origins, will make value 27, plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is only 9. And so it will help us appreciate as to how 27 is equal to 9 into 3, and 9 is equal to 9 into 1, and formulation 8 for 1 of TC value 8 is equal to formulation 3, Triya of TC value 8. The formulation ohm will sequentially take us to 1, 3, 9, and 16. And our right angle triangle of sides 3, 4, and 5 will yield surface area 6. This way, we can appreciate that the transition from linear order mathematics to spatial order mathematics will have accordingly transition for our mathematical tools, interval, surface, solids, squares, as a setup of quarter square, right angle triangles. All these our mathematical tools being chased up till now in terms of linear order mathematics will have their different mathematics, different mathematical values as when these will be approached in terms of spatial order mathematics of the creator's space. This will take us to Sutra 7, sankalana, vyavakalana bhyam. Sankalana means addition, and vyavakalana means minus, means utilization. So both these formulations are having letter Ka, and Ka is a Brahma, and Ka is also a Shiv. Ka, Brahma, takes us to spatial order 4 space mathematics. And cos Shiv takes us to solid order 5 space. Sankalana is to be in 5 space and vyavakalana is to be in 4 space. So spatial order mathematics will take us to only vyavakalana, while the next phase, solid order, origin of a 2 space and solid order of a 5 space. So when we will transit further from spatial order 4 space mathematics to solid order 5 space mathematics, then and only then we will be having appreciation of sankalana vyavakalana bhyam, which is availing the format of a 5 space enveloped within a 4 space. Sadhakas are fulfilled with the intensity of urge to be parallel with the Vedic mathematics of creators of space, permitting transition to the transcendental solid order mathematics, shall sit comfortably and approach these sutras, the sutra's way, and this sutra's way will help us ultimately appreciate how rang, color, gandha, smells are interrelated, nad, sound, jyoti, the light, sound and light are interconnected, swad, taste, and the transcendental features, chetana, anand, brahm, anand, so, sam, ras, ek, akash, Vestanam, how all these formulations which initially are being approached in terms of their transcendental code values of whole numbers with the help of the vowels permitting transition, and as a Vedic code value having a focus upon the vyanjan, the consonants only, and the same when will be approached in terms of osculations, factors, fractions, and interlocked dimensional frames, then and only then we will be parallel with the reach of the Vedic mathematics, and for which we have to avail sthapatya, the geometric format of hypercube 6 of value 22 and mapdand of value 40, and then the transition for 22 splitting with a pair of dimensions 2020 and the whole mathematics of dimensions, dimensional synthesis, domain split will come into play. And it is this play which is to be played, the split of a 3-dimensional frame, the synthesis of a square in terms of only 3/4 squares is to be comprehended, is to be approached, is to be worked out. Chatushpeet makes the enlightenment path for transition from linear order to spatial order. Ganita Upsutra 5 and Ganita Sutra 7 are the processing steps mathematics of this transition and takeoff. Simple rendering for Vestanam is osculation, and simple rendering for sankalana vyavakalana is addition and minus. With these Ganita Upsutra 5 and Ganita Sutra 7, one shall initiate oneself for the spatial order mathematics, permitting transition for the solid order mathematics. Thank you very much.